Hello, John. Thank you so much for talking to me today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. What conference did you go to, and when was that?
Okay, I went to the Triple ACE, and it was October 2nd to 5th in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
Perfect. And how was it?
I thought it was a great conference. It was maybe a little bit more geared towards higher education, um, but I think given the range of workshops, there was still a lot of practical skills that teachers could take away. So I thought
Great.
overall it was a
Great.
really good conference.
What are some of the highlights that you would like to share with us?
Okay, for me, I think the biggest highlight was the keynote. Um, Dr. Jeff Borden, who is a professor and a speaker and also comedian, his presentation on education, he called it Education 3.0, was fantastic, and he had the entire room, captivated for his presentation. So I think for me that was the highlight. Um, some of the other highlights, because this conference was kind of focused on technological innovation. Um, there were some really good workshops on practical skills, integrating technology in education. And then the other thing I think that was really
Mhm.
interesting about this conference was just getting to know colleagues that I've worked with but haven't really gotten to know. I think some of the colleagues at Clock, Lorraine, Herbs, Karen Joga, I really got to know them a little bit more on this trip, and sometimes that is another benefit of a conference. It's
Great.
getting to know colleagues.
So you a part of the conferences, you had a good time with your
Hmm.
colleagues.
Yeah,
That's
definitely,
great.
very much so.
You mentioned that one of the highlights for you were how to apply technology to
Hmm.
the classroom.
Yeah.
What did you take away from those conferences?
Yeah, I think a couple of things, and a few of my colleagues were in the similar workshops or the same workshop. Um, one, I think there are a couple of things. Number one, technology is here and it's not going away. So I think from a teacher's point of view, we do have to try to embrace technology, but do it in a meaningful way. And number two is to not make assumptions on the part of the learner. When we do introduce technology, that they will get it, so to speak. And it's really sort of that piece around multiple literacies. We often talk about literacy in terms of reading and but there's a new literacy ongoing right now, which is tech literacy, and I think
Hmm.
that was a kind of a one thing I took away from this conference is we can't always assume our students are going to have those skills, and trying to build that into part of our lessons. It's not just the English acquisition. It's also building the tech skills.
Absolutely.
Right?
You mentioned before about something about using technology in a meaningful way.
Mm-hmm.
Can you give like an example that you were
Sure.
given
Yeah.
at the conference?
Yeah. So there was one workshop in particular where um, the presenters, I forget the name of the university they were from, but they just talked about using video tools and kind of using video tools in a um, interesting way for students. So the name of this program escapes me right now, but they focused on this one tool for incorporating questions as the students are watching the video. And I thought this was kind of a novel way to check for student understanding. Some other sort of practical programs that I learned about. There's one called Powtoon, which is kind of a very simple video maker that teachers can use, especially for hybrid online classes. Um, yeah, so sort of some really practical tools for making engaging videos for your students.
Absolutely, very, very interesting.
Mhm.
Is there anything else you would like to add?
No, I think, it was my first time at AAAC, and I found it, quite a valuable conference. Just the range of workshops, and I guess the final thing I would say is it really puts adult education into a more global perspective when you go to these conferences. You meet people, obviously, mostly from the United States, but there's people all over the world traveling to these conferences, and it's inspiring, to hear what other, service providers, what other colleges, universities, schools are doing in adult education. So, yeah,
That's perfect. Thank you so much.
thank you very much for having me.